This copyrighted video was produced by the California Department of Rehabilitation and is intended solely for educational purposes.
In this segment of Employment Today, we're going to focus on making interviews accessible. Live on the street is our field reporter, correspondent, who's going to tell us about some do's and don'ts in this process.
Thanks, Will. Like you said, I'm hitting the pavement to help small business owners with some do's and don'ts to make their interview process accessible to all. The first do is to make sure your site is accessible. Your site should have accessible parking, pathways, ramps, bathrooms, elevators, and doors to ensure access for all applicants. If you need your location surveyed, contact CASP, the Certified Access Specialist Program, through the California State Architect's Office, or invite disability organizations to help assess and identify potential barriers. Here's our first stop. Looks like they're trying to get some extra help. Let's go inside. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
My name is Corey, and you are?
Serena, nice to meet you.
Hi, Serena. It's nice to meet you. Now, it appears that you are looking to hire someone. Is that true?
Yes, that's right. I actually just lost one of my best employees, and I need to hire a replacement.
Oh, I see. So how are you advertising for the position? Are you using more than just a sign?
Yes, I have the sign, I have an ad online, and then I have an ad in the newspaper as well.
Great. That leads us to our second do. Do post your job announcement in more than one location, such as your website, newspaper, other internet websites, message boards, and anywhere else you can think of. Make sure that job announcements and applications that are posted or distributed electronically are accessible too. And how are they supposed to be submitting these applications?
Well, they can bring it in, they can send it by email or fax it or send it by regular mail.
Great. Well, that's do number 3. Provide multiple options for people to submit an application, such as email, online, in person, or by physical mail. Also, do include a reasonable accommodation notice to show an effort of good faith for all applicants. Now, here's an important question. Did you update your duty statement before advertising the position?
Duty statement? I actually don't have one. I do have a list of duties and qualifications, but it's nothing formal.
Okay, well, a duty statement is a must-have. Do make sure your duty statement is up to date. A duty statement is like a contract of employment, and when done correctly, can be very important in the long run. Your duty statement should reflect the qualifications needed in an applicant and clearly spell out the essential and marginal functions. The duty statement describes the job expectations and helps you determine if and how an employee with a disability can perform the job with or without a reasonable accommodation. Now, as soon as I leave here, you're going to create a duty statement, right, Serena?
Yes, most definitely. I actually never realized how important a duty statement can be, and I can see several times in the past where that would have been really useful.
That's true, very true. Okay, well, now let's move on to some don'ts. Are you ready for your interview?
Yes, I actually just asked some basic questions. I just want to make sure that they can and will do the job that I need them to do.
Well, that sounds good. Just keep in mind these tips. Number 1, don't ask illegal questions on your application or during the interview process. Many common mistakes in this area can be avoided simply by reviewing interview questions to ensure that they are not disability related. This includes information you are requesting on your application forms. You may ask questions related to their ability to perform the essential functions of the job. Only ask questions that are job related and consistent with business necessity. Have you done any interviews yet?
I haven't yet. I figured I would do them all next week. What else should I be aware of?
Our second don't. Don't fail to provide a reasonable accommodation during the interview process. Simply put, if a qualified candidate requests a reasonable accommodation during the interview process, are you prepared to provide one?
Do you mean like if a qualified candidate needs a sign language interpreter that I should provide one?
Exactly. And keep in mind, most reasonable accommodation requests during an interview have little or no cost to the employer. Isn't that great?
Yes, that's what I like to hear. Cost was actually something that was really a concern for me. Any other tips?
Yes. Don't make assumptions. Don't assume anything. Don't assume your site is already accessible just because you've never received a complaint. And don't assume business operations have to drastically change to accommodate someone with a disability.
This is really great advice. Any final do's and don'ts before I schedule my first interview?
Yes, one of each. Here's the don't. Don't stress. Just relax. Treat all applicants and interviews the same. And the do remember to focus on the candidate's abilities rather than their disability. Thank you so much for your time, Serena. It was very nice to talk with you. I'm correspondent, and that's a brief overview of the do's and don'ts of making job interviews accessible.